Hello students, this is Neha Sharma, your English language teacher. Today in this video, we are going to discuss the important questions of Should Wizard Hit Mommy from your Vistas book. The author of the story is John Updike. So let's have a look on the questions. Who is Jo? How does she respond to her father's storytelling? So the answer is Jo or Johnny is the 4 years old daughter of Jack and Claire. For the last 2 years, her father, Jack, has been telling her bedtime stories. Since these stories are woven around the same basic tale and have the same characters and turn of events, they are almost predictable for her. However, she still listens to them very attentively. Her responses to the story were a curious mixture of emotions caught in recognition of the known and eagerness to explore the unknown aspects woven in the basic tale by her father. She was also a very observant listener and corrected her father whenever she felt he flattered. Question number 2. What possible plot line could the story continue with? From Joe's point of view, the story should have ended on a happy note, with Roger Skunk getting rid of the foul smell forever and being able to play with all other woodland creatures. In the process of storytelling, it was evident that Jack got nostalgic about his own childhood and his mother. Thus, he brought in his own perspective. His sense of belongingness to his mother and his experience of dealing with reality resulted in a mature and compromising end, where the reality limited the scope of fiction. As he associated himself with the main character of the story, Roger Skunk, he avoided getting into the problematic situations of identity crisis and of blaming his mother. Next question. What do you think was Joe's problem? Little Joe had been accustomed to the happy ending of the stories of Roger, where the wizard was helpful to him in fulfilling his wish. At the request of Roger Skunk, the wizard had changed his awful smell to that of the roses. Other small animals liked it and played with him happily. She could not digest the ending of the story where Roger Skunk's mother hit the wizard on the head and forced him to change Skunk's smell to the earlier foul one. She is unable to understand the true worth of one's originality. Jo insisted that her father should tell her the same story again. The next day, with changed ending, the wizard should hit the mommy on the head and leave Roger Skunk emitted the pleasant smell of roses. She wants Rosa to be accepted even if it means getting rid of his original smell. What was the basic storyline of the tale that Jack told? So the stories that Jack used to tell Johnny were the slightest variation with the basic tale about a small creature usually named Roger who had some problem. He would go to the wise owl. The wise owl would ask him to go to the wizard who would finally solve his problem. Why was storytelling especially fatiguing for Jack on Saturdays? The ritual of storytelling was followed with the sole purpose of making Jo sleep. She was now 4 and no longer slept like an infant. Saturday's storytelling session was lengthy and fatiguing for the father, as the child had grown up and refused to sleep. Which animal did Joe suggested for the story that day? Why? Joe suggested the animal skunk that day to her father. They must have talked about skunks at nursery school. Having a fresh hero momentarily, starring Jack to creative enthusiasm. What part of the story did Jack enjoy the most and why? Jack particularly enjoyed the part when he changed his voice to that of an old man, imitating the wizard's voice. He did it by squeezing up his face and somehow winning through his eyes. He felt being an old man suited him. Besides, he also enjoyed telling the story when Joe listened carefully without interrupting him with questions. Why was Roger Skunk's mother angry? On whom did she pour her anger? Roger Skunk's mommy was angry because the wizard had made her son smell like roses, which was not the way a little skunk should smell. She poured her anger on the wizard and hit him with an umbrella on his head. Which do you think is better ending of Roger Skunk's story? Joe's on her father's? Why? According to me, Joe's father's ending of Roger Skunk's story was better. This was because parents of a child know what is right for them, and Roger Skunk's mother was right in getting Roger's smell changed. It was a nice way to teach Joe the importance of being the way you are and not changing to please the world. Jack's ending gave Joe a reality check. What is the moral issue that the story raises? The author, through his story, raises a moral question of how much authority parents should exercise in teaching their children what is wrong, what is right, what they should do and what not. Since answer may vary from person to person, John Updike leaves it for the readers to answer it on the basis of their benefits and values. There is a sharp contrast between an adult's perceptions of life and the worldview of a little child. Children represent innocence. Hatred and injustice have no place in their world. In this story, the baby skunk was able to make friends only after she smelled of roses. In Joe's perspective, the happiness of being able to make friends surpassed any other thing. As a result, she is unable to assess the reason why the mother skunk pressurized her child to get his original foul body odor restored. On the contrary, Jack tried to justify the skunk's mother and wanted Roger to listen to his mother, even if it means smelling bad again. Jack, a typical father, wanted his daughter to believe that parents are always correct and they know what is best for their children. Thus, the story raises the question of whether parents should always be followed blindly. Another question that the story seems to raise is, should we, like Roger Skunk, pretend or try to be what we are not, but want to be, or should we, like Skunk's mother, believe in accepting ourselves as nature had made us without being unduly bothered about what others would think of us? Next question. The same situation can be viewed through two different perspectives. How should Wizard hit Mummy established this point through views of Jack and Joe? An adult's view of life is different from that of a child. It is more realistic, practical, and matter of fact due to an adult's numerous experiences in life. In contrast to this, the child views the world with rose-colored glasses. It is a perfect world untouched by hard realities of life. Thus, a child's view is very innocent as compared to that of an adult. Jack, the father in the story, Should Wizard Hit Mommy, told a story which was similar to one of his own childhood experiences. Through it, he wanted to convey to his daughter Jo that whatever parents say or do for their children is in their best interest. However, Jo thought from the narrow perspective of a child and wanted an ending different from what Jack had narrated. Next question is, why does Jack insist that it was the wizard that was hit and not the mother? There were few reasons for Jack's persistence on only the wizard being hit by Mommy. First, Jack insisted that it was wizard that was hit and not the mother, as he wanted to prove a point to Joe that the little skunk loved his mother and his mother knew what was right for him. Second, Joe was very young at that time and Jack believed that it was time for her to learn to respect elders and understand that whatever elders do is for their best. Jack, while narrating the story, unknowingly got emotionally connected with the character of the protagonist and his mother. He pictured his own mother in place of Roger Skunk's mother and thus could not imagine his own mother being hit by anyone. Moreover, he personally considered her to have made right decisions for him. Next question is, what makes Jack feel caught in an ugly middle position? Jack feels that he has been caught in an ugly middle position physically, emotionally, as well as mentally. He was not able to help his wife in painting the woodwork because at the same time he was busy in narrating the story to his daughter. It is important to note that the story also presents the upsetting of traditional gender role while at the same time revealing the male psyche. Jack was conscious of his duties as a father and as a husband. His efforts to make Jo fall asleep proved quite fatiguing. She kept on interrupting him, asking for clarifications, pointing errors and suggesting alternatives. As the story of the Roger skunk is unfolded, the impatient and unsatisfied Jo strongly puts forth her point of view. She did not want the story to end the way her father had perceived and narrated it. The force with Jo had asked him to change the end of the story left him in a dilemma. He was caught in a battle between the two perspectives and could not find a way to make Jo understand his point of view that mothers are never wrong. So he extended the story, though he was in a haste to go downstairs and help his pregnant wife. Claire complained that it was a quite long story. Jack felt utter weariness and did not want to speak with his wife or work with her or touch her. He was really caught in an ugly middle position as he could not wipe out the gap between the old and the young generation. What is your stance regarding the two ending to Roger Skunk story? Stance means your feelings. Considering the tender age of Joe, both the endings seems a little irrational. Certain that she will be learning from whatever she hears and visualize at this age. If the story ends according to Jack, Joe will never be able to question anything she considered wrong in life, since this ending stressed that elders are always right in whatever they do. In addition, the story shows the skunk's mommy hitting the wizard for no fault of his. The wizard had only done what he was asked to. This may scare the 4-year-old Joe, as it teaches that mothers, being elders, have the right to hit anybody, even if they are not at fault. On the contrary, if the story ends what Joe wanted it to, it will stop her from believing in and respecting her elders. She may even start believing that there is nothing wrong in hitting elders. A balanced view may be in an apt ending where the mommy does not hit the wizard at all, but make Roger realize the importance of one's originality. Next question is, why is the adult's perspective on the life different from that of a child? A child's speech and line of thought, his actions and reactions are natural and not guided by any outward influence. He speaks from his heart in accordance with what is ethically right in his perspective. On the other hand, an adult has many things to consider before speaking or reacting. Thus, the influence of the society governs and dominates his thoughts. In this chapter, Jo speaks what she considers correct, but Jack, an adult caught in a dilemma, kept thinking on the consequences of accepting his daughter's ending to the story and what the society has made him learn over. The story highlights the conflict between parents and the children, the irritation and annoyance felt by the older generation when their custom and authority is challenged or questioned by the younger generation. Jo does not quietly accept what her father has to tell her, while Jack evokes his parental authority to silence her. As a young growing up girl, Jo begins to question more as her mind develops, while Jack, who is growing old, would have preferred the comfort of a quality accepting young Jo. That's all for today. We will see the MCQs of should wizard hit mommy in our next video. Till then, keep studying, be healthy. Thank you very much.